Mike. So you shared something really interesting the other day in one of your lectures, which kind of goes against like the natural hygiene, what this whole fruit festival is kind of about. You said something about salt and how some animals will actually go out of their way to get salt.
Yeah, I'll tell you some of the animals. We got elephants. They'll go through miles and miles away to lick salt off the caves in the dark, in these dark caves, for days on end. And you've got these goats. I got a picture I was showing you with the goats. There's a dam that's almost like, vertical up there, and these goats will go up this unbelievable steep hill, and they'll just lick salt for hours and days at a time. And then you got even primates, our relatives that, these, they're known for licking rocks. So I believe that, at times, we have concentrated salt sources. And even apes, from what I heard from somebody else, I was telling somebody else about this, and they actually go to the ocean and dip their fruit, and they're I guess they eat starch. I didn't know that. So they'll eat like little tubers or something and then mix it in with the salt in the sea and eat it like that. So we always had access to salt, and plus certain parts of the world are less salty than others. And I imagine in the tropics, being close to the ocean, that we would have more salty, like coconuts could be up to 250 milligrams, according to what I've seen online, 250 milligrams per cup of coconut water. Celery ranges, during the season. Yeah. So, if we're farther away from the equator and, not by the ocean, I wonder if, that there's got to be differences in salt levels. And, in just drinking water, would be widely different.
Do you recommend the use of salt, or, do you use it in your own diet?
After, 4 years on the diet, so kind of like a long process on how I came about. Like, a little sprinkle of salt is not going to do anything. Well, the first thing was I would go off this diet and be for starchy, salty food. And I thought, I was oh, what am I doing? I really want to stay on this diet no matter what. And I remember one time I was even at a Chinese restaurant. I was oh God, I'm eating my dates and I'm eating my bananas and stuff like that. So I'm eating enough calories, but I just can't. I have an urge for something salty, and then so I ate, of course I ate the Chinese food, and I was what am I doing? And I was getting upset at myself. And then there was eating olives, and I couldn't stop thinking. And one time I went to this one restaurant, and I always get this Jerusalem salad, and it was basically the same salad I made at home, but when I ate their salad, I was wow, their salad tastes so much better than mine. I'm I would dream of that salad. And then a friend gave me some salt. He's doing this diet too, and he gave me a little bit of salt. And he put it in a smoothie, and I was what are you doing? It's toxic poison. So, and I was yeah. And he's oh, give it a try. So I took a little bag of, a little bit of salt home and put in a little bit of salt water, and I was chucking back salt water like it was nothing. I was infatuated with it. It was awesome. And then Dr. McDougall put out a video called Salt, the scapegoat, the scapegoat for the Western world, and that was a really good video. And he talked about how, just like potassium, we have excess amount of salt, we just pee it out. So it's not really a big deal. Your body will just adjust to any kind of salt that you take. Another thing that shocked me was that I think my blood pressure was going up. I was noticing I don't know if it was as late at night, I got done with a workout. There's so many things that happen, different parts of the day, but I knew my blood pressure was going up a little bit. And actually, low sodium can increase blood pressure. And then I started taking salt, my blood pressure actually went down.
That's really
So I got a 106 or 70 or something like that. I have a picture of it, so I'm not lying about that. And also bloating thing. I noticed that I did have a little bit of bloating at first, but then it went away. I don't have any bloating issue. Also, another study was done on salt. From a low sodium, they put people on a low sodium and high sodium diet, and they found that people on the high sodium diet slept better. They have less times waking up at night, and I would experience that a lot after the 4 years of doing it without salt. Is that I would wake up in the middle of the night and then go to the bathroom and then go back to sleep. Now, I know Doug Graham, he talked to us, oh, that's natural, and that's the time that you look at the stars and the moons, and we did astrology at the time. I don't really buy into that so much. Missing sleep, it's waking up from sleep is it's really detrimental, especially with your weightlifting. Sleep is so important that, if I had a choice between missing 3 hours of sleep or chugging down a couple beers and smoking cigarettes and, eating a half thing of coconut oil, before I really, if I had to, do a weightlifting meet that, is either life or death, I would choose the smoking, the smoking, the alcohol, and the coconut oil. That's crazy, how important. So I wouldn't miss 3 hours of sleep. That's how important it is. That has more detrimental than cigarettes and stuff in the short term. I'm sure that it all plays around. Yeah. If that was an option, so I'm, pro salt in that way.
But just like a little bit. You said just a sprinkle.
Just a sprinkle, and not much. Like
still low sodium.
That's what Dr. McDougall talked about in the thing. It's like, people, usually salt is associated with bad things. Yeah. And they usually put it in to preserve things. They put it in like pickled vegetables and fermented foods, which has been shown to cause esophageal cancer, a whole bunch of different cancers. Check out Dr. Greger's site. You could type in fermented foods and you'll find that. Also, it runs with bad characters like processed meats and bacon, and what's another one? Processed meats, cheddar cheese, really one of the highest sources of sodium.
It's like all the
all the junk food. So when they measure sodium, they're just associating it with bad food. And it's, the sodium gets a blame for the bacon. It's not the salt, it's the bacon. Yeah. And when people go on a McDougall program, which is a starch-based diet with a little bit of salt, that their blood pressure actually goes down.
Nice.
So it starts going down. And it's just the removal of, the oils and the meats and the dairy and the eggs and things like that.